Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. If you have a gardening question you'd like our host Fred Howard to answer, send him an email. The email address is fred@planttalkradio.com. Now for today's question.
Well, my question is this a good time to move rose bushes? I have a rose bush that's where it doesn't need to be, and I didn't know when to move it.
Well, this is a fine time. Later would be okay. A little sooner than this would be okay because most of the rose tissue has what we'll call hardened off. They may be in nice bloom right now, but the flowering process, the growth process with the shortening of days has slowed down. So I would tell you that you could do it yet today if you want to get it done. You could probably do it anytime in this next month. No harm done. Now, I don't know how to quite explain. A rose that you move now, if it is in flower or if it's in full leaf, I would tend to cut it back a little bit, anywhere from several inches to up to maybe half. You don't want it to have to support foliage and be transplanted. Okay. This is kind of typical of all plants, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't move a rose now. I was looking at mine yesterday. The knockout in particular was coming into full bloom. I would be hesitant to move it right now, because I can do it in a month and still be successful with it and not interrupt the flowering. But I don't see any reason why you couldn't go ahead and move it this fall. And if it is not in full flower or other reasons not to do it at the moment, I'd go ahead and get it done so that there will be some little bit of root growth in the new spot as the soil is cooling, because soil will stay what we'll call warmish well into November.
Okay. And what about planting bulbs? Is this a good time, or is it too early and too warm?
Well,
plant spring bulbs.
I've heard mixed statements on that. I would tell you that they are available now in most places. They can be planted now, although I talked to a bulb grower, actually from Holland, several years ago, and he said people tend to plant them a little too soon. He likes to wait until mid-October into early November. And I've had a chance to chat with him about it. I take it from his experience that probably is all right, but I think the only thing not to do is buy them, set them in the garage shelf, and forget them. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
Yeah, I tried to. Well, it's a long story, but I went out in January when I found them on a warmish day. The soil was frozen except for the top inch or two, and I just, shall we say, twisted them into the mud. And I got a little bit of color from them, but way past time then. So I would say any time now. We're literally into October tomorrow. So and this morning it was 47 degrees. So we're starting to hit that cool fall period. I'd go for it, but it would still be okay to do so in a month and a half.
Hey, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our other podcasts as well, the Plant of the Week podcast and the Plant Talk Radio podcast, all on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to sponsor a daily podcast, contact us at fred@planttalkradio.com. To find out more about Fred Howard and Plant Talk Radio, visit our website, planttalkradio.com.
Circle270media.com